Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. Okay, this is my new office. I'm in Florida now, so basically no more like car sirens in the background and random bird chirps throughout my videos. And hopefully I can get this like visual set up a little bit better, so that way it's like a little bit more interesting to the screen. But yeah, so what I want to talk about today is a really cool static site generator called Astro that just kind of came out last month. There's so many really cool static site generators. Like ones that have really like captured my attention lately is like Astro, which we'll talk about throughout this episode. There's Elder.js, which is like a Svelte based one, but it's like really like SEO oriented. And also like in reading up about Astro, I learned about 11T, which is another static site generator. Let me just bring up the website. Um, and basically, this is kind of like where Astro kind of got some of its ideas from, in the sense that this is a static site generator that allows you to use several different templating languages. So the difference here is that it's letting you use templating languages, meaning, like, let me just show you some examples. I think they do the list somewhere around here. Yeah, here's the documentation. So in 11T, they allow you to use like HTML, Markdown. You can just use normal JavaScript, Liquid, Nunjucks, Handlebars, Mustache.js, Haml, and Puck. And then it generates a static HTML. I mean, if you use Gatsby, Next, Nux, Gritsum, Scully, Hugo, Jekyll, SvelteKit, Elder.js, Jungle.js, any of these static site generators, you guys know sort of the drill. But this allows you to use these. So if you're sort of someone who likes a lot of those old school templating languages, this is a way to sort of write static generated sites using that. But what Astro does, instead of having a bunch of different templating languages, it uses a bunch of front end client side like frameworks. So basically React, Svelte, and Vue. Okay, and allows you to sit there and use those while you build your site, and it's actually really, really sweet. So what I wanted to do is just kind of build a quick project so you can see how it works. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new folder. So I'll just call this like test project. Okay, and basically all I have to do is I'll open up my terminal in that folder, open an integrated terminal. I'm going to create a npm project by doing npm init-y, so that's going to create me a new package.json in that folder. See, there's my new package.json. I'm going to install Astro, npm install. Actually, I need to make sure I'm using a newer version of Node, so nvm use system, because I use Node version manager to manage my versions of Node. Okay, and then what I'm going to want to do is do a npm install Astro. That will install Astro. So you can see that in my package.json. Well, once it's done. Takes a second. It's a lot going on in the library. There you go. So Astro is installed. Okay, and then I want to make a couple scripts. I want to make one script so I can start the dev server. So start, doesn't matter what you call the script, but this would be Astro dev. And then we would have the build script, which will be Astro build. Okay, and then what I need to do is make a source folder, new folder called source, because that's what it looks for. And in there you need a folder called pages. Okay, and then in this full file I can just make a file called index.astro. That's going to essentially be your index.html. So it actually has its own kind of components, which are very much like React components called Astro components, but they're purely static site generated. So there's no client side rendering with Astro. If you need to do stuff that's client side rendered, you can do it with React, Vue, Svelte. I think you can even do it with web components. We'll give that a shot. Okay, so in this case I could just make a normal HTML page, but I don't have like extensions that makes it like particularly pick up on that. So the trick I do is I'll just make a arbitrary HTML page, index.html, just out here outside of everything, generate the boilerplate with Emmet just to save time. And then I can just copy that over. Okay, cool. And then we'll just do hello world. Okay, just to show that this works. So now I'll do npm start. And there it goes. And see, like, it's actually, I think it's the creator of Snowpack who's the creator of Astro. In the same way that the creator of Svelte is the creator of Rollup. Okay? You know, generally the people who make the cool things make lots of cool things. Cool. Okay, so that's running. So let's open up a browser. Let's go to localhost 3000. I see, hello world. Okay, nice. And again, it's file-based routing, so if you use Next, Nux, SvelteKit, you're probably familiar with file-based routing. So if I were to just create another file, all the files in pages though, so all your pages have to be Astro files. Okay, I'll show you how Vue, React, and Svelte come in. But like your actual pages have to be Astro files. So I can create another file, new, click in the wrong place. New file, we'll call this cheese.astro. And then I will just copy this over here. Okay. Okay, and then we'll say cheese. Okay, and then now I can go to /cheese because the name of the file is /cheese. And again, it's all based on my pages folder. So again, if you've used Next or Nux, you kind of know this deal. So that takes me to that page. So I don't have to worry, like, it just automatically kind of like knows what to output. Good. Now, it would be really annoying if I had to kind of generate all this boilerplate code every time. What I could do is I could create a new folder, make a layouts folder. And then here I can do like a layout.astro. Okay, and then I can copy all this boilerplate here. Control C. Put that in here. And then here in the body, what I do is I just use a slot. If you've used Vue, web components, Svelte, you're probably familiar with slots. React, probably not so much. Think of a slot as like props.children. That's literally what it is. Okay, so basically that's where stuff will get injected. And now what I can do, basically the way Astro components work, let me just get this out of the way. Okay, the way Astro components work, so if I were to just delete all this now, I can do front matter. So if you've ever done like markdown stuff in like Gatsby or Next, you know that like you can do like this code block that's like 3 dashes, opening and closing, and do what's called front matter. Usually you put like YAML at the top of the file. In this case, you can just write JavaScript. So here I can be like import layout from /layout/layout. Okay, and now I can just do this. Oh, that should be uppercase. Okay, layout. And then I can here put in like H1 hello world. Okay. And then just so you can make sure we see something, just above the slot, I'll put like H2, this is from the layout. So you can see that the layout is there. Okay, so let's go back to the main page. And see, that's pretty cool. Okay, so then I can just use that, you know, attach all my CSS files, third-party stuff like jQuery or whatever. You can just plug it in right there. Cool, but then how does React and Vue and Svelte come into play? Well, what you can do is you can use them for components. This is what they refer to as the islands approach. So instead of building out your whole app, it's just like this one app component with a bunch of little apps in there. What you do is you just sprinkle components where you need them. So if you have like a carousel component or a modal component, then you use it. But otherwise, if you don't need the client-side stuff because it's a non-interactive part of your website, you don't use React, Svelte, or Vue because there's nothing interactive about it. So just write HTML. And it ends up in a faster website because your whole website isn't being generated by the JavaScript. Theoretically, like if you just use Astro components, your whole website would just be HTML and CSS. there'll be no JavaScript, which is going to be the fastest, most secure thing you can do and great for SEO. So, yeah. So now let's make a new folder called components. We'll just kind of show just quick idea. We'll just do one of each. So first we'll call a new file. We'll call it just React. I'll come back to that. Okay, new file. We'll call it r.jsx. Okay, and then here we're going to import. I haven't done actually a React component in here yet. I'm not sure. I'm not assuming what version of React they're using. Just to play it safe, I'll import React from React because basically basically all of these libraries are a dependency of it. So basically, let me just double check. R for React. I'm assuming it's in there, but let's just double check. Yep, React is there. Okay. So import React from React. Okay, so essentially when you do this, you are installing Svelte, React, and Vue all at the same time. But again, what matters is the output. So the idea is you have all this flexibility for your output. Import React from React. So then I can be like export default and just make a function, perhaps, and then just like return h1 props.cheese. So if you've done React, this looks very familiar. Props.cheese. Cool. And now what I can do is I can go to my Astro file. Let's go back to index for a moment. And I can go back to my JavaScript here at the top. And I can import r from // components / r.jsx. Okay, and I can use r. R cheese equals Gouda. And look, it works. So just like you would normally use a React component. And here's the thing, it'll actually still statically render it. So it'll still end up with a static rendered page unless you use like these directives that you can have. And I forget what the directives are, but you can actually sit there and specify like, if you do want it to be client-side rendered, like if you do not want this component to be like statically rendered from the get-go, but show up be loaded after the fact, you could actually choose whether it's like loaded right away. You can choose between it being loaded when the browser's idle. So basically what it'll do is it'll just say, hey, I'm not going to load this component until like the browser's not doing anything. Or you can have it load when the user scrolls and actually use the intersection observer. So if you have stuff that's like below the main part of the screen, you don't have to have them wait to load. You don't have to wait for the user doesn't have to wait for everything to load to get the site started. It'll just load the initial stuff, and since everything else is kind of like delayed till you scroll, you just get this like much cool lazy loading feel. With just you just slap in a couple directives in the tag, so it's pretty cool. Okay, let's do a Svelte component. New file, we'll say s.svelte. Okay, so we'll do a Svelte component. So we'll just do h1. This is a Svelte component. Okay. Because why not? I'll just do some basic Svelte stuff, and I'll do a prop. That's what I'll do with all three, just so we can see how the props work in all three. And the export default. No, what am I doing? As export cheese. Anything about that? Export let cheese. There we go. Okay, and then we will interject the cheese here. Okay, so that's like a Svelte component. That's a Svelte component if you've ever done one. And now I will go to here, and now we'll import the Svelte component. Import s from // components /s, and then I will just go over here and use it. S cheese equals brie, And it works. Look, I have a Svelte component and a React component mounted at the same time. How cool is that? Okay, and you can use all the cool features of all three frameworks whenever you think they are like the best thing to use. The only thing you can't use is Angular, just because Angular doesn't have single file components. Okay, and then we'll do a view component. So let's do v.view. Okay. Yay for snippets. Okay, so there's a Svelte component, view component. Now I want to use props. If I remember right, we have to do like props, and then you do an array, and the array will say it has cheese in it, and that's going to allow me to do an h1 with, but this one's going to be double curly brackets because that's how view works, and cheese. Okay, so here's the JavaScript in Vue, here's the HTML in Vue, kind of like Svelte and Vue are very similar in their style. React, well, if you've done React, you know this whole JSX bit was just basically a function that returns like this HTML block, or HTML template in a sense, done through JSX. Okay, so let's import that one too. Look, I'm importing a Vue component with a Svelte and a React component. Slash components slash v.view. Let's try this out. V cheese equals pepper jack. And it works. Okay, so see that? Like we did a Vue, a Svelte, and a React component all in one application. How neat is that? And I think you can do web components, so let's just give that a shot. This, I'm not 100% sure will be successful, but you know, we're on a roll. So we'll do w.js, just because like, I don't know if it's going to be able to read the DOM, like the browser DOM API within this context, but we'll see. Extend, so basically the way this works is we'll say class C for component extends HTML element. Okay, and then we have to use the constructor. So this is like the built-in like JavaScript way of setting up components without having to use a framework, if you've ever done it before. Then it's going to be like this dot attach shadow, and then I think it's an object with the property of oh my god, I forgot. Attach, I just know that the value is open, but I forget what the key name is. Attach shadow. Element dot attach shadow. Just show me the nope. Shadow, here we go. Mode, that's what I was looking for. Mode open, meaning we can see it in the DevTools. Okay, this dot attach shadow, and then we can be like this dot shadow root equal dot inner HTML equals, and I'll use like backticks for interpolation, and it'll just be an H1 just like the other ones, H1, and then I'll use interpolation to inject something. We'll use document, oh actually no, it would be this dot shadow root dot get attribute. Let me think about this. Actually I think it might be like this dot get attribute, and the attribute I want to get is cheese. That would be like the prop. Okay, and that is good enough for me. So essentially what it does is it creates a new like DOM element, a new DOM node. It creates a shadow root, which is like a little mini DOM, and attaches this HTML to it. Great. Then we have to do custom elements dot define dot cc, and we're using the class of C. Okay, so let's see if this works. Because like, it doesn't really export anything, but by importing the file, it still gets read, and then that still registers the elements. So theoretically, it could work. Okay, so let's import dot dot slash components slash w.js. Okay, Astro reference HTML element is not defined. Yeah, I figured that was going to be an issue. HTML element is not defined. Yeah, no, yeah, I guess it doesn't. You'd have to do client-side JavaScript for that to work. So that's why I thought that was weird when I read that in an article. But let's just keep going. That would be like C-C, and then I could do like cheese equals. I'll just do rye because I can't think of any other cheeses right now. It's late at night. And then that would be that. Let's see if it actually still works. It doesn't look like it's airing. Yep, HTML element is not defined. Yep, so so if I really did want to do that, the way I'd have to do that is like this. So I'll leave that there, but I'm gonna remove this. And then what I'd have to do is go to my layout, and I'd have to do something like this. Script, and then be like source equals here's what I would do. I'll cut this out. I'll put this in a. We can do is you can create a folder called public that works just like you would use a public folder in most similar frameworks, except that's a file. Test project, new folder. Public, you can use this for any kind of like just random assets. So I'm going to put that there. Okay, so for all your static assets that don't get rendered. So then what I can do is I can do script source slash w.js, and yeah, that should theoretically work. And yeah, there it is. So no, that's not it. Right, not found slash w.js. Why not? Public. I know there was a way, so I'll put it back in here. Trying to think. I think I remember reading. Again, I told you that probably web components weren't going to work, but I am determined to give us a few different shots. Okay, so in that case, in here, what I want to do, I don't want to do that. Oh wait, did I put W slash? That's why I wasn't finding it. So let me go put that back in public and put a slash here. Still not finding it. What if I did this? Put that back in components, move, and then this is, I put this in dot dot slash components, although that wouldn't work when it's rendered. Yeah, nope. I guess the only way I could theoretically make this work, actually, now that I think about this, what I could do, let's go back to index. So you can see I'm really determined to figure this out. I'd have to actually inject that into this file, which kind of ruins the point. Script. And then let's see here, if I copy this code into there, okay, copy it into here, theoretically I could use the web component, right? It's not complaining. CC, custom elements that define. Now let me just check here, just open up the DevTools, see there's an error. On code reference, I must call super constructor. Oh, that's what I forgot. I knew I forgot something. Super, because you're doing inheritance. And there it works. Okay, so you can use web components, but you'd have to define them in the Astro file. So theoretically, what you could do is you could put this inside the layout. So if I put this below the slot, then it becomes available to all the files. So then you have this component available. That's kind of cool. That's one way to do it. But yeah, that's not, that kind of goes beyond the point. But theoretically, you could do that if you wanted to create like native web components and use them inside Astro. This would work. But you can also use React, Svelte, and Vue. How cool is that? That is so super cool. And then you just render it, and it has all the other features and bells and whistles you expect from a static site generator, and being able to like dynamically generate like huge amounts of pages and do all sorts of other really cool stuff. So I'm pretty excited about this. Again, it's still like early stages. It's still kind of like not officially at 1.0 yet, but there are people making production websites at it, like this and Elder.js, which also has kind of like, that one has a little bit more of a learning curve, but has like some really cool and really fast render times. So lots of really cool stuff in the static site generation place. So hopefully you guys found this interesting. My name is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. Have a great day and enjoy.